Number 7. Pontiac once created a special racing version of the Catalina, known as the Super Duty, named after the legendary 421 cubic inches Super Duty V8 engine. Although the stated output was 405 horsepower, this was likely just a trick to keep insurance rates reasonable, because, in reality, the engine propelled the hefty Pontiac in a way that clearly demanded far more power. A 1963 Super Duty could complete the quarter mile in about 12.3 seconds. And this wasn't just any Super Duty. It was the lightweight version known as the Swiss cheese Pontiac because of the holes drilled into its frame. In addition to using aluminum hoods, fenders, and front bumpers, Pontiac reduced weight by drilling 120 holes into the frame rails, turning the car into something resembling an erector set. With only 177 Super Duty drag cars built and a mere 14 Swiss cheese cars produced, their rarity is undeniable. This scarcity stems from GM's 1963 ban on all factory-sponsored racing programs. Although GM sent out instructions to end Super Duty production, it's possible that some, or all, Swiss cheese cars were quietly built after the ban, making them true rebels in every sense. Number 6. As the rival to the Ford Fairlane Thunderbolt, the 1964 Mercury Comet AFX was a true factory-built drag car that dominated the tracks of its era. Powered by the 427 cubic inches FE high-riser V8 engine, officially rated at 425 horsepower, but widely understood to be closer to 500 horsepower, the Comet was said by Dragzine to run the quarter mile in just 11 seconds without any tuning, although that figure might be a bit generous. While no official acceleration times were recorded, based on the Thunderbolt's ET performance, it's reasonable to believe that the Comet AFX completed the quarter mile in the 12-second range. Despite its seemingly ordinary appearance, the Comet AFX's air scoops were actually vents placed where the headlights would normally be. Hood scoops had already proven themselves cool, but channeling air directly into the front of the car made even more sense. While many factory drag cars reduced weight through aluminum components, the Comet AFX shed weight with fiberglass body panels and a fiberglass hood. With only 21 units produced, the Comet AFX became one of the rarest and most sought-after drag cars ever built. Number 5. As usual, Mercury got the short end of the stick, while Ford came out the winner. The Comet AFX is often considered the second-tier sibling of the Fairlane Thunderbolt. Despite their structural similarities, it was always overshadowed by Ford. The two shared the same platform, the same basic sheet metal, or in some cases fiberglass, and the same 427 cubic inches V8 engine. Yet the Fairlane still had a slight edge in acceleration. Hot Rod magazine recorded the Thunderbolt completing the quarter mile in just 11.6 seconds, a result that surpassed the Comet AFX and indirectly confirmed the Comet's 12-second quarter mile capability. Both were impressive, but as usual, Ford remained in the lead. The Fairlane had been a full-size car since its debut in 1955 and served as an excellent touring car. But by its fourth generation, produced from 1962 to 1965, it had become the perfect mid-size platform for muscle cars and drag racing. To meet NHRA homologation requirements, Ford built only 100 Thunderbolts, with the first 11 finished in vintage burgundy and the rest painted Wimbledon white. Of those, 49 came with a 4-speed manual transmission, while the remainder used the 3-speed Cruise-O-Matic automatic. Number 4. Calling the 1965 Dodge Coronet a 990 a strange-looking muscle car isn't an insult. It's simply true. This Mopar, with its altered wheelbase, ultimately led to the creation of the NHRA funny car class. To achieve better weight transfer and traction, both the front and rear axles were moved forward, resulting in a car that looked bizarre but launched extremely well. According to Auto Evolution, the A990 could run the quarter mile in 11 seconds, though it has sparked plenty of debate and skepticism. The truth is that the Coronet A990 was the first model to use the 426 cubic inches Hemi V8, an exceptional engine both on the street and strip. With 425 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque, the Hemi was a beast, and when race-prepped, it easily exceeded 500 horsepower. While other drag cars relied on aluminum or fiberglass panels to cut weight, the Coronet A990 used acid-dipped steel to shed about 60% of body mass. With a lightweight body and a monstrous V8, there's no questioning its brutal capability. Number 3. Today, when people think of third-generation Chevrolet Impalas, many picture slow-rolling lowriders. But back in the early 1960s, the Impala was a true performance monster. The 1962 Impala SS, with its 409 cubic inches V8, was so legendary that the Beach Boys wrote a song about it. If only they had waited another year, because in 1963, that engine received dual 4-barrel carbs, boosting output to 425 horsepower and turning the Impala into one of the fastest street cars of its day. In 1963, Chevy also built a limited production drag variant called the Impala Z11, powered by a 427 cubic inches V8 fed by dual Carter AFB carburetors, conservatively rated at 430 horsepower. Everyone knew the real number was much higher. In fact, the Z11 was rumored to be a 10-second car. Pulling a large Impala to a 10.8-second quarter mile clearly required far more than 430 horses. Although no official test results were published, the time is believable given the Z11's many wins with legendary drivers like Ronnie Sox, Dino Don Nicholson, and Dave Strickler. Number 2. The 426 cubic inches Hemi V8 engine is considered the pinnacle of the classic muscle car era, a power plant that crowned Mopar as the undisputed king of the golden age when Ford and GM struggled to find a worthy rival. Introduced in 1966, the Street Hemi appeared in most mid-size Dodge and Plymouth models. However, the compact Dart was unfortunately left out of this incredible lineup. Chrysler had its reasons for being cautious. Putting such a monster engine into such a small car sounded downright insane. But in the world of performance cars, the things you aren't supposed to do are often the things that create legends. In 1968, Dodge joined forces with Hurst Performance to produce a limited edition Dart equipped with the Hemi, an extraordinary machine that surpassed even the wildest expectations. The 68 Hemi Darts were produced by Dodge, but it was Hurst who actually crammed the 426 Hemi engines into them. These factory drag cars were officially rated at 425 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque, but those numbers were far from accurate, as the cars were simply too fast. The widely reported 10.4-second quarter-mile time is a figure with no clearly traceable origin. According to Hot Rod, the ET for a race-prepped 1968 Hemi Dart was 9.9 seconds. But that was for a track-prepared car, not the standard version anyone could buy from a Dodge dealership. Although the exact number remains uncertain, what is clear is that this was an exceptionally fast and wildly aggressive muscle car. Number 1. In the golden age of American muscle, few silhouettes were more menacing than the 1970 to 1971 Plymouth Hemi Cuda. So it's no surprise that the most powerful factory drag car of all time also carried the Barracuda name. But interestingly, the true dominator was the second-generation Barracuda, a model long overlooked. Like the Dodge Hemi Dart, the 1968 Barracuda was transformed into a straight-line monster by Hurst, receiving a race-spec 426 cubic inches Hemi V8. Although technically street-legal and sold through Plymouth dealerships, the car was designed strictly for drag racing and came with a disclaimer voiding its warranty. The BO29 ran the quarter mile in 10.2 seconds at 134 miles per hour. At the time, the NHRA Superstock B record was 11.05 seconds at 127 miles per hour, and the 68 Hemi Barracuda was significantly faster. The car was so formidable that special rules had to be created just to slow it down. With fiberglass body panels, acid-dipped components, and extremely light weight, the Hemi Barracuda achieved an extraordinary power-to-weight ratio. To keep things fair, the NHRA required it to carry an extra 200 pounds.